wait, I don't care about none of these bitches, none of these bitches. I don't care about none of these bitches, none of these bitches. I don't care about none of these bitches, none of these bitches. I don't care about nobody but you. Oh, you're so special. I don't mind being disrespectful. Oh, you're so special. We're so disrespectful. Hey. You can call my phone at 4 in the morning. Hey. Or you can ride shotgun every time I'm rolling. Or you can take me out to her favorite diner. I'll even pay you home so you can meet my mama. Disrespectful.
I don't mind being a little disrespectful. You been down for a nigga since I met you. I don't mind being a little disrespectful. Girl, you special, so I'll be disrespectful.
Girl, you so special. You're so special, baby. You're disrespectful.
Your motherfucking feelings. Day Talk at Night on Monday nights, 8 p.m. Thank you for joining me. Hope you guys have had a good week. In the world, I don't know if it was that good of a week, but we made it. And you know, some things going on in the country, in the world that probably need to be discussed. And this is just me tonight. No guests, no special guests, no kind of other entertainment, just yours truly. And I kind of wanted to get into this abortion thing because it seems like it's a serious thing that's happening, and I don't, you know, it's almost like I'm just at a loss for words. It's almost like unbelievable. And if anyone of you guys or you know who's listening is familiar with the Handmaid's Tale, that's kind of like what this feels like. It feels like this is the start of how the sequence of events in the Handmaid's Tale. This is how it begins. So let's just get right into it. So on Friday, the Supreme Court, in a 5-3 decision, they ruled to overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, we should know what Roe v. Wade is, but if you don't know what the Roe versus Wade court ruling was it established that women can have abortions based off the Constitution. So basically, Roe v. Wade was a ruling. I guess there was, I don't know the particulars of the case, but what I do know is that at the end of the case, it was ruled that you couldn't deny a woman abortions based off the Constitution. And it's kind of weird because this is the same reason why this court, that the current Supreme Court, overturned it. So, so basically, the court, oh my goodness, I'm tongue-tied. So the ruling actually gives gives it back to the states. So basically, each state can determine, if they want to allow abortions or not. Now, right now, there were 27, I believe, states who had trigger laws, who said, okay, if the ruling ever changed, the ban on abortions will go back into effect. And so basically, this whole country, half of the states in this country are going to ban abortions. Now, this is bigger than just a woman going to the clinic and, saying, hey, I don't want this baby. And even if it wasn't that big, so what, right? We'll get to that in a minute. But this is bigger than just a woman saying, I don't want this baby. Basically, what's happening is these abortion bans they cross all lines. There really is no context for them. In other words, if a woman has a miscarriage, I've been involved with a couple of miscarriages. Well, one, not two, one. I've been involved with a miscarriage in my lifetime. My own child was miscarried when I was married. It was about 15 years ago, right? So what they had to do with that miscarriage was basically abort the fetus, right? Because the fetus was dead, right? So that's an abortion. So the ban on abortion actually limits that. In other words, some states, women will have to actually file a lawsuit or file a civil suit to say, hey, I need an abortion done because if I don't, this baby is in me and I could die. So basically the court is going to say, okay, we deem this an okay reason for you to go ahead and abort your baby, right? Then you have ectopic pregnancies where the embryo or the fetus gets caught in the fallopian tube. If the embryo or the fetus gets caught in the fallopian tube, what happens? Mom dies, right? So that has to be litigated. In other words, women there have to be lawyers. You have to litigate it. You have to go up the chain. You have to file suit and say, hey, I'm about to have an ectopic pregnancy. I need this fetus aborted. And so basically what this does is it gives the courts, it gives your public service personnel, they're the ones in charge of the woman's body. Now, some of these laws are very outdated. So when I say those trigger laws for those abortion bans, those trigger laws are from laws basically made in the 1850s, right? So you have laws in the 1850s that's basically saying, look, no abortions whatsoever. They don't account for anything else other than abortion. So, this is a strong subject because, I have a lot of Christian friends. A lot of my Christian friends feel like getting an abortion is killing a baby. Now, that may or may not be true because scientifically, the baby is not a person until it's born, right? In other words, when we eat eggs are chicken, right? We eat those eggs. When you crack that egg open, that egg isn't alive, right? So if we're basically eating the babies of chickens, right? So, in my opinion, it's up to the woman, and it's the woman's choice. Okay, now, you know, our Christian brothers and sisters are very, to me, you know, if you mention anything that has God in it or Jesus in it, they're quick to say, you know, they're with it. Well, abortion is killing babies, and if we're killing babies, that's not of God, or God is against abortion. Really? So I did a little bit of research, and so the Bible never really directly or indirectly ever mentions abortion. So the idea that abortion is killing a baby is a fairly new idea, probably about 150 to 200 years. Okay, so you know it begs the question: where does this ideology that says, you know, women have to listen to us, or women's bodies need to be controlled when they're having, you know, kids? I was talking to a minister, and I respect her a whole lot. She's a dear friend of mine. I respect her. She's an older woman, and she's well respected in the church community. And I asked her, like, where does this come from? Like, if you're saying it's not of God, or if you're saying, you know, where is abortion in the Bible? And so she gave me a scripture, and the scripture really had nothing to do with abortion. So, you know, the thing is, people are asking questions now. I can't just tell my kids, direct them to a scripture and say, go read that scripture. They're going to ask questions about that. So when I ask as not a minister, I might know a scripture or two, right? When I ask as a layman, where's the scripture? There is none. So, you know, it begs the question, you know, to me, church people can be so gullible. And, you know, after doing a little bit of research on this, it's a lot more insidious than we even know. I was in my research and my reading, I came across an old video of Jane Elliott. She was doing an interview, and I respect Jane Elliott. She's done a lot of research, and you know, I've watched some of her experiments. She's been doing it since like the 1960s. Actually, she started doing experiments on white kids. She was a teacher. She was doing experiments on white kids in her classroom, maybe a few days after Martin Luther King died. So she's been doing this for a long time. And the video, you know, in the video, she kind of explains why there's a war on Planned Parenthood. Now, this video, I would say, is probably between 10, 15, maybe 10 and 20 years ago. I believe this video was in the early 2000s, but let's just take a look at it, and you'll understand what I'm saying.
If you don't understand the destruction of Planned Parenthood offices, and you don't understand the wall that we're going to build on the southern border of the United States, you haven't read the book The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg. Ben Wattenberg was a brilliant Jewish man who was a member of the American Enterprise Institute, and he wrote a book, the first paragraph of which says, "The main problem confronting the United States today is there aren't enough white babies being born in this country." He was an advisor to presidents of the United States. He wrote the book in 1987. He says if we don't change this and change it rapidly, white people will lose their numerical majority in this country, and this will no longer be a white man's land. Now, I'm not misrepresenting this. I'm telling you almost exactly what he says. He says there are three things we can do to solve this. Number one, we could pay women to have babies, as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have babies, so we don't want to do that. He says the second thing we could do is increase the number of legal immigrants that are allowed into this country every year. Then once again he says, unfortunately, the vast majority of those wanting to come to this country today are people of color, so we don't want to do that. The third thing he says, and women had better pay attention to this, 60% of the fetuses that are aborted every year are white. If we could keep that 60% alive, that would solve our birth dearth. Does that sound like racism to you?
So, The Birth Dearth. I haven't read the book. I just learned about the book a couple of days ago after seeing this video. But she makes a compelling point. Now, when I first watched the video, I'm like, this sounds real conspiratorial. And I don't really kind of give any, I try to stay away from conspiracy theories. knowing that some things I need show and proof, right? And it just seemed very out of it just seemed like it was very unlike her, because she's very down to earth, she's straight to it, and she gives it to you. And so for her to make such an assertion just seems very it was just wild, right? But so I watched the video, and lo and behold, Trump has a rally on Saturday, maybe Friday or Saturday, and basically it kind of confirms what she's saying. So there was a representative that introduced Trump at his rally. Let me play the video for you.
President Trump, on behalf of all the MAGA patriots in America, I want to thank you for the historic victory for white life in the Supreme Court yesterday.
White life. That's where we at. White life. Right. So, if the religious conservative right are stopping, or banning abortions because they want to preserve white life in the name of keeping the population numbers up for white people, it begs the question, Miss Jane Elliott's assertion, and it's mind-boggling to me. So not only are we putting women's lives at risk, we're putting, the babies' lives at risk too. What about, a woman who doesn't want a child because she already has two, right? What about a woman who can't afford, or what about a woman who's going to college and her whole life is going to be derailed by a baby? That is her decision to make. Now, and this is a big fat if abortion is this great sin, right? If it's so wrong, right? That then that is between that person and their maker. Now, this is hard for Christians to understand. A lot of my Christian brothers and sisters. This concept might be a little hard for you to understand, but you cannot dictate someone else's life who's not a Christian. In other words, if you know the good news and Christianity is the religion and your faith, and that's what you believe in, that's great. But this country cannot litigate through religion. And it behooves us to kind of wonder and be careful, because, Christians that are celebrating this, if it was the other way around, if you were in a Muslim country or if you were in a Hindu country and they said, the woman couldn't drive and women can't wear pants, or the women can't have to cover their faces because of the religion, then, now that's a slippery slope. If this is the land of the free, and the U.S. and this country is such a melting pot, right? You can't legislate off of one religion. I'm a Christian, but I don't put my Christian beliefs on other people, because other people didn't grow up as I grew up. Other people weren't taught as I taught. Other people may have their own religion, and so. When you see people on social media, these ministers, these pastors, oh, this is of God. How is it of God? And so what happens is the religious right uses God to pretty much, dumb down black people, especially the black Christians, I think, because a lot of times when you put God into it, or you put Jesus into it, or you put that's not of God, or you put anything about Christian spirituality in it, it makes it so that you can't question it. So people will say, well, don't question God. well, I'm not questioning God. This isn't from God here. So I think we need to be careful to use religion, use our faith as a means in a way to govern people, because everybody's faith and everybody's needs are not the same, right? And then, then there's the other issue of, is the life of an unborn more important than the life of these children out here that need help? Are their life, once they're born, fuck them, but just save their life, right? Let's not abort them and let them live. But who is going to take care of this influx of children? Who is going to take care of how these women going to get along financially? So there's another video that it's an old video. George Carlin, rest in peace, George Carlin. He's an old comedian guy, and he's basically kind of going off of what I'm saying. Let me just play it real quick. If I can find it. It's coming, folks. It's coming.
Boy, these conservatives are really something, aren't they? They're all in favor of the unborn. They will do anything for the unborn. But once you're born, you're on your own. Pro-life conservatives are obsessed with the fetus from conception to 9 months. After that, they don't want to know about you. They don't want to hear from you. No, nothing. No neonatal care, no daycare, no Head Start, no school lunch, no food stamps, no welfare, no nothing. If you're pre-born, you're fine. If you're preschool, you're fucked. You're fucked. Conservatives don't give a shit about you until you reach military age. Then they think you are just fine, just what they've been looking for. Conservatives want live babies so they can raise them to be dead soldiers. Pro-life. Pro-life. These people aren't pro-life, they're killing doctors. What kind of pro-life is that? What, they'll do anything they can to save a fetus, but if it grows up to be a doctor, they just might have to kill it? They're not pro-life. You know what they are? They're anti-woman. Simple as it gets. Anti-woman. They don't like them. They don't like women. They believe a woman's primary role is to function as a broodmare for the state. Pro-life. And speaking of my friends, the Catholics, when John Cardinal O'Connor of New York and some of these other cardinals and bishops have experienced their first pregnancies and their first labor pains and they've raised a couple of children on minimum wage, then I'll be glad to hear what they have to say about abortion. I'm sure it'll be interesting. Enlightening, too. But in the meantime, what they ought to be doing is telling these priests who took a vow of chastity to keep their hands off the altar boys. Keep your hands to yourself, Father.
So a little comedic energy there, but he has a point, right? So abortion is just not a one type issue. More importantly, is that now that they've overturned Roe v. Wade, now they're ushering in a new batch of legislation that they're ready to overturn. In other words, there's language in the text of the overturning that the thing that they're coming for next is same-sex marriages. Am I a proponent of same-sex marriages? No. But this begs to, this begs the question: same-sex marriages, what's next? Now is it interracial marriages next? A state senator actually tweeted Obama and said Plessy versus Ferguson was next. So these abortion is just the first thing, and the first thing that they're coming for. And hey, listen, elections have consequences, right? Everybody who hated Hillary, who wanted to vote for Trump or didn't want to vote because Hillary was such a bad candidate, look, look, folks, you vote for who you want to vote, but you also need to understand, there's consequences for, voting people in that don't have your best interests at heart. Trump, they cheated. They didn't install Obama's Supreme Court pick. They cheated him. They played the waiting game so that when Trump got in office, as soon as Trump got in office, they affirmed or confirmed Trump's pick. Now, all of these Supreme Court justices who ruled to overturn Roe v. Wade, not only did they just kill precedent, right? So the one thing in the court, if you don't know, the one thing that the court has that it stands on, that's validated, that really judges and the court personnel, they don't like to do, is break up a precedent. In other words, a precedent is a ruling. Once a court makes a ruling, they're not going back on that ruling. And so what they say is, this ruling is precedent. So you know how when you're in a courtroom and they bring up these other cases, hey, in case such and such versus such and such, this was that. In case such and such versus such and such, this was this. That is what's called validating the precedent. So look, this is the precedent. Now this is 30 years of precedent. I think Roe v. Wade was ruled in 76. 30, almost 40 years of precedent that these judges just killed. They eliminated the precedent. Now it's uncommon in any kind of legal jurisdiction, in any kind of legal mitigation, to just break precedent like that. And the crazy thing about this is, each Supreme Court justice that voted for this, that was recently confirmed, from Clarence Thomas to now, all said that abortion was the precedent. They weren't going to break precedent. Abortion has already been litigated, and they weren't going to litigate it again. And basically, they lied. All of them lied at their confirmation hearings. There's a video. I don't think I have it, but there's a video going around. I think Comedy Central might have put the montage of video together of the 3 Supreme Court justices that all lied in their confirmation hearings. It just seems like this whole issue is being politicized, and it just seems like the conservative party and the conservative right in this country just wants to lead by controlling people, when it's to their convenience, though. Because where's the Tea Party at, right? Isn't that Tea Party that big organization that hated Obama? Less government. We don't need government, but we want to control what women do with their uteruses, though, right? It's just very contradictory. The party wants to be controlling when it's convenient for them, but they don't want to pay for Medicare. They don't want to pay for health care, right? So, notwithstanding the safety, it's a safety issue, and it's a health care issue. Some states want to get rid of birth control. Now, why you would want to get rid of contraception, I don't know. But, basically it's like, have a baby. It just begs to question, why are people trying to control women's bodies? It's beyond me, and it's very archaic. Very archaic. Let's kind of shift over a little bit. Yeah, so that is, it's funny, but some women could be facing up to like 5 to 10 years, and they could be facing 5 to 10 years in jail for getting an abortion. There were some states that there were abortions scheduled, and as soon as that ruling came down, all of those scheduled abortions, or they canceled all of them. Women are going to have to travel, 2 and 3 states abroad to try to get an abortion. Now, you know, it seems like the White House and the Democrats, everyone's saying, well, we're not totally going to allow this to happen. We're going to create protections for women for travel. You know, we're going to create protections for contraception, because contraception is really a healthcare issue, not necessarily an abortion/litigation issue, but that's what it's becoming. It's, you know, it's all about control, folks. It's all about control. But yeah, what about this bullshit though?
One wish, one wish, one wish, one wish, one wish, one wish.
Yeah, people. Yeah, so that was some horrible shit. Okay, that was. Yeah, we just gonna keep giving that motherfucker. That shit was horrible. Okay.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So the verses, if anyone's watched the verses, these R&B verses, man, listen, I don't understand these new R&B niggas cannot sing. Okay, there's just they don't got it, and quite frankly, that verses was a lot of the old R&B niggas. Well, the 2000 R&B cats. The 2000, from 2000 to like 2010, I wasn't really feeling R&B then. It was alright, but that's what those, I listened to it. That's what was out, right? That was kind of like right after my era of being a young guy. And for the most part, when I was coming up in the 90s, you couldn't be an R&B singer without holding a note. You couldn't be an R&B singer without singing. I think the best guy up on that stage was Tank. I'm sorry. A lot of people were saying Mario was, I think Mario and Omarion were actual the competition. Don't get me to lying. Mario was getting a lot of props, but Mario was hitting a lot of bad notes. He was pitchy as shit. I think Tank was the best person on the stage, and I think, in my opinion, the best R&B verses would probably be at this point Joe Thomas and Tank. I think. Joe's voice is unmatchable. Like his voice is like silk, right? And being in the same room with that guy, he can sing. That dude, he doesn't need the studio. He doesn't need anything. He at his live shows, he's doing the most with his voice. He's the man. Yeah, Mario did. He killed it, but he didn't kill it. You know what I'm saying? It was cool. Dewan, he killed it, but he didn't. I just think these guys, man. And what's up with Ray J? Like his sister said, she basically tweeted at him like, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. I made you some tea. You talked all day. Pop told me you talked all day. Look, why is Ray J taking those kind of risks vocally? Why the hell is he taking those kind of risks vocally? It doesn't make sense. Look, if you want to call in, 475-242-5052. I'm on the line if you want to chat real quick. But let's okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into memes for the week. Yeah.
BQ.
So let's get into this first meme. So we're going to be doing memes for the week. These are my funniest 10 memes for the week that I've posted or have posted, in previous times. But let's get on with some comedy here. Yeah, bruh, this is my first time seeing a real camel toe. And that is actually correct. That is the first time seeing a camel toe. Looks very much like a camel toe. And, yeah, that's what's up. Next one. Whoever's in charge of keeping them Arizona teas at 99 cents for the past 20 years should be in charge of our gas prices. Hell yeah, definitely. They get a freaking...
Congratulations, you played yourself.
They need to... Actually, no, they get a congratulations, you played yourself.
You played yourself.
Because them damn teas went up to $1.25. I just seen them at the store. The prices is different now. Even the price of the Arizona teas went up. When you're only 3 blocks away from home, but you're starting to lose the battle. Now, listen, this is a good one. This is a good one. Look at that damn shit. Look at that. That's when you're driving home and you're at that stoplight and then it's rain. Don't let it be raining, because when it's raining and you got to piss, it make you really got to go, right? Let me stop playing. Hey, I don't think we should do this, and my balls are blue. Yeah, that's pretty
Do not call me handsome if you're not gonna give me some that badonkadonk.
Let's go to the next one. Finally, she realized why her husband had a toothache so often. Yeah, that was...
Goodness gracious, at that thickness right there. Goodness. That's some booty meats right there, y'all. That's that filet mignon of booty meats. That's grade A beef right there is what... Y'all look at.
Next one. I'm not a red flag. I'm like a caution flag, because I do warn y'all. Yes, I do warn. I warn you, everybody. I warn everybody. Everybody.
Oh, my God.
Sometimes the warning is, it might be a little too much. Impress her with something expensive. Buy her some fucking gas. Yeah. All right. Sometimes you just gotta approach shorty at a function like this.
Baddest motherfuckers of all time. One of the best singers, one of the best looking motherfuckers you've ever seen. Hold my drink, bitch.
That's a bad motherfucker, boy. Yeah, let's go to the next one. How men who wear hoochie daddy shorts sleep. Now, let's talk about this hoochie daddy bullshit. Short bullshit. Yeah, we're gonna give this one more. We're gonna give this another one more. I'm not a fan of the hoochie shorts. No. Gonna be no hoochie shorts. No, not a fan of the hoochie shorts. I'm not gonna say it's gay, because, the guys in our generations after me, they're trendsetters, they're doing their things, but it's just not for me. No.
President Trump,
we will make sure that when a kid is in the womb, they're as safe as they are in a classroom, the workplace, a nursing home, because every stage of life has value. No one greater than the other.
So, I'm going to end the memes on that note, because that's the stupid shit that's being said. We want the kids in the womb to be just as safe as the kids in the classroom. I don't know if she said that dumb shit for shock value. I don't know if she said it for, thinking that, maybe it's what their party wants to hear, but that's just ignorance at its best. Ignorance at its best. Hey, listen, folks, I said I wasn't gonna be here long. I am going to sign off. Gonna have a good show for you next week. We got a good show planned. Probably gonna have Dre Romero back on, and I might be able to get a couple other special guests at the same time. So look, I want you guys to have a good week. I want you guys to take it easy. I want you guys to think about what's next. You know, in the state where we are, you know, I'm in a Democratic state. I'm in Connecticut. I don't really have to worry about the impact of abortion on my life, or the abortion ban, you know, where I'm at. And right before I end, I do need to give a message to the men out there, because, you know, listen, my niggas, you know, us men, especially when you get to a certain age, you need to start thinking about, you know, if you want to get a vasectomy or not. Trust me, I got a vasectomy. You know, it's not a bad idea to want to do that, because, you know, you getting your side piece pregnant, or, you know, you getting wifey pregnant again, and y'all can't go and have this abortion. You know, it's not a bad idea to go and get snipped. I mean, if women have to, you know, if they're litigating on women's body parts, you know, I don't know, you know, abortion ain't gonna save you if they're banning it. It just ain't. And so, you know, this is important for women, but men are going to be affected just as much. And, you know, maybe more men should be considering whether, you know, they want to, you know, kind of kill the reproduction in their own systems, so that this is not an issue. You know, for me, I think it's the best decision I made probably in my adult life, because I made the choice to say, okay, I'm not even having a kid, even in a mistake, even in a situation where it's not meant, I'm not trying to have a kid, I'll never have that issue, right? So yeah, I think, you know, in retrospect, men need to be more responsible. First of all, we just all need to be more responsible with our private parts, period. Now, I ain't nobody. I ain't no minister. I have no business trying to tell people what to do. But I do think that, you know, we all need to be more responsible with our private parts. But two things can be true at the same time. In other words, yeah, people should be responsible for their private parts. But, you know, on the other flip side, it ain't none of your goddamn business. It ain't none of my business. It ain't nobody's business but they own. And I think that, you know, we need to be mindful and careful on how this government is starting to litigate what people do behind closed doors, right? None of those places are safe. Oh, Nikki. Nikki called her a whore. Nikki, you crazy. That's a good question, Dewan. Do men have to start paying child support as soon as the woman get pregnant too? I mean, in this case, it's a fair question. It's a fair question. Once we start litigating what women are doing, now I've been an opponent of how this country treats men, how this country treats fathers, in the higher courts, in the courts. And, you know, I feel like it's kind of the same way on the reverse, right? Where men really, their only option in the eyes of the law is that they're a dollar amount. Whether they want to spend time or take care of them or have access to them is non-existent. That doesn't matter. And in a lot of states, it's not even relegated, right? So, you know, we have to be careful on what we're doing, how we're trying to control people. And you know, again, I said it before, I'll say it again. Christians, religious people, ministers, pastors, you cannot. I read a post on someone said, well, are there any pastors rebuking their saints? That's an old, you know, in other words, a rebuke is like an admonishment or kind of like scolding someone, or scolding them up in front of the audience, right? And someone said, "Well, don't churches rebuke their members anymore?" And one pastor got on there and he said, "Yeah, I do." And that is not that. First of all, that's not. It's not up to anyone to rebuke anyone. Like you know, as people if you're of the cloth, if you're religious, if you're a person of God, if you're a person of faith, it's not your job to dictate and tell people what they should be doing. Nobody's going to rebuke Robbie Day. You can't rebuke me. The only thing that you can, if Robbie Day is going to be rebuked, you're going to pay Robbie Day's child support. Okay? Nobody going to, these people have it twisted. Like, you're in church, so you're of a higher moral authority. You're a pastor, so you're of you claim a higher moral authority. Stop. It doesn't work that way anymore. Might have worked that way 30 years ago. It doesn't work that way anymore. Do women get WIC and financial assistance as soon as they're pregnant? Good question, Dewan. Very good question. These are all things that will come into question on some of this litigation. We just can't. Hey, listen. Midterms are in November, and consequences have elections, and maybe the left in this country, or the Democratic left in this country, will get out and vote, and vote their own constituents in, or vote their own leaders in, be the constituents of the leaders that they vote in. So, yeah, guys, it's been real. I know it's been short, but dude, I'm just getting my content out there, right? So, you guys have a good week, have a good night, and I'll see you next week.